Welcome to the Tone Jerks podcast. I'm your host, Brian Gower, and with me today we got a guest co-host. Who do we got here?
Kyle McIntyre.
Kyle McIntyre.
Yeehaw. I'm in Texas. It's Andrew Walsh. It's not Kyle McIntyre.
Andrew Walsh. Hello. La, la, la. Feel like we should be talking about Seinfeld. Those of you who aren't in the know, Andrew, good buddy of mine. He's also co-host of my other podcast, or our other podcast, the Second Button podcast, which is a Seinfeld watch along podcast. And let me tell you, I've been watching a lot of Seinfeld this week. That's one of my what's news, but we'll catch up on what I've been doing. But Andrew, it's been a while since you've been on the show.
What's new for you is what's old for me, but still
new for me. What's shaking, what's screwing, what is good with you?
I've been keeping busy doing more podcasting than I thought I ever wanted to, and more than I ever should.
Yeah. I think Mr. Podcast Man over there.
Yeah. After last time we were on together on this, we started the Second Button.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm on Just Surprise Me. Supposed to be regularly, but for health reasons, I've been on sporadically.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do the East Coast DNA. It's a music news podcast, covering East Coast of Canada musicians.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing that with my brother and keeping busy doing that. And then the Andrew's Alcove YouTube, haven't really been doing many guitar repairs lately since pandemic and people are dirty.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to maybe push on the YouTube a little more on that too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then, because you did move, and then, so it's like people who were working on their guitars, you're like, oh, okay. Maybe it's like kind of a new clientele, but also still you're like, I don't want people coming into my house dropping shit off, especially. Yeah.
I ran into that at my old house, is that I'd say, okay, Wednesday, 2:00, come pick up your guitar. And I'll be working my actual job on Tuesday, and people would show up at my house. My wife's like, there's someone here looking for a guitar. You got 3 guitars down there. I don't know what's what. I'm like, well, they weren't supposed to fucking come until tomorrow. But they just show up. So I after moving, I was like, I don't want to deal with that right now.
Or if you had like even a separate space, like a garage or something, maybe that'd be different.
Yeah.
But so my 2 of my Gibsons that have the Evertune, so I guess my only Gibsons and they both have Evertunes. I took them because there was nobody in San Diego. I'm sure there are people now, but anyways, on the Evertune website, there was no shops listed in San Diego that could perform the Evertune bridge, surgery. You could say.
Yeah.
A lot of wood has got to come out of those things, and then to get the bridge fitted or retrofitted and stuff like that. So certain luthiers or guitar techs or whatever had to show to Evertune that they can do the mod. Nobody in San Diego. They were all, the closest one was LA, so obviously LA, you're like at least
like 4 hours away. How far is LA for you?
It's probably about 2.5.
Yeah.
Like, it's maybe 100 miles, but the fact that it's fucking LA, so, you want to go anywhere there, it's like 2 to 3 hours. So, it's a bitch. And, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I figured, driving the guitars there and picking them up, I don't know, at the time I thought like, oh, this would be easier than shipping. If I did it now, I would just ship them. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Anyways, at the time I was like, oh, this would be easier. So I dropped them off, and the guy was totally, he did a great job. He's, done these guitars for, bigger bands and shit like that. I think like Mest, and even mentioned Newfound Glory and stuff like that. I'm like, I know those bands. So,
that's a name I know.
So for me, I'm like, okay, all right. I was fine with that, but he was just dragging ass, which I'm sure he's busy, but he has his shop just kind of like separate from his house, like a separate garage or whatever. But there's an entrance to go in, and it has like the guitar repair shop name or whatever on the fence. And I'm like, you can go in. And then I'm like, okay. So dropped the guitars off. I called him before, and he's totally fine with that. And then I'm calling him. They're like, hey, what's it's now couple months or a month and a half or so. I'm like, this is more than a couple weeks. Kind of like, what's the deal, dude? And then he's like, oh no. I'm like, okay, well, I have to take time off to go like a day. I have to do it on my day off from work to go pick him up. And then he's like, oh, I can ship him. I'm like, no, I don't want, no, if you tell me the day that it's ready, I'll go pick the fucking things up.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, they'll be done. I'll finish them up today. You can pick them up tomorrow morning. His words, by the way. Like, okay, well, I'm actually going to be off. And I'm like, oh, that's perfect. I'm off tomorrow. So get them done today. I'll pick them up tomorrow morning. And I'm like, I'm coming from San Diego. He's like, okay, yeah. And then I got there because he shows that he's open at 10. So I got there at 10. I'm like, oh, the guitar's ready. He's like, no. Only one of them was done. And I'm like, he's like, oh, can you come back tomorrow? I'm like, no, I told you I'm coming from San Diego. I can't come back that easily. And I'm like,
it's a whole day process.
He's like, oh yeah, oh okay. And I'm like,
go grab yourself a coffee.
I'm like, I talked to you yesterday. Like, don't you remember? He's like, no, I do remember. And I'm like, you said you'd have them done by the end of the day, and that was yesterday, right? And he's just like, yeah, mm-hmm. And I'm like dadding him, and he's like, then why would you say that? That is actually a lie. You lied to me.
Why did you say that thing?
I didn't pick the day. You did. And it was basically he had already had it cut. He just had to get the bridge kind of mounted in there. So I'm like, okay, he already has all the plates or like the holes and everything done. And I'm like, he's like, it honestly will take me like 15, 20 minutes. Do you mind just hanging out? I'm like, okay, I'll just play. He's like, you can play the pedals and this guitar because it's already done. I'm like, cool. And I was super excited to play an Evertune guitar, and especially my guitar. I'm like, yeah, this is great. It's a lot of fun. So I didn't mind just playing guitar for 20 minutes. And he was nice. He was cool, but it was just the fact that he was there. And I'm like, I think it was something where his, like, because it was in their backyard, his wife was like, I think in the garden or whatever. She's like, are you supposed to be here? And I'm like, I called the guy yesterday. And then she's like, let me go get him, because he would think he was like in the house still. He was like, oh shit.
Oh, no.
So that's why it was like the whole thing. At least it was outside the house. He's conducting his guitar business. But I was just like, I remember that, and I'm like, okay. Yep, that was a pain in the ass. I bet there's people in San Diego now, or even builders, that I can just ask. I'm like, oh, okay, can you do this for me? I'm like, reluctantly, they might say yes, but I'm like, I have 3 Evertune guitars. I got plenty of them. Don't need them. Anyways.
You're all good for Evertunes.
Yeah. You pretty much only need one. That's the idea. That's never going to go into tune. But I have 3. Anyway, so all that aside, podcasting. So I know you mentioned you kind of starting the one with your brother. How's that going? I know we've talked off air about it, but
it's going good. We started off doing kind of music news, what's coming up this weekend and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of realized that wasn't going to be timeless. Like each episode kind of an expiry date of 2 weeks, because by the time the next one came out, that news was old and there's no use listening to what's coming up locally if it already happened. So we started doing some interviews and kind of starting it off with news and then doing interviews. And now we're kind of bleeding over to strictly interviewing local musicians.
Yeah.
Just so people can actually go back and listen to it, and it's more timeless that way. So.
Yeah, you're mentioning a lot more local musicians and stuff like that are kind of hitting you guys up, and wanting to be
we're
on
getting
the
messages
show.
now. People saying, "Can you play?" So we play a song halfway through and I play a song at the end, and people are just like, "Can you play my new singles coming out this day? Can you play it on your podcast?" And people are asking if they can come on and talk about something coming up. So it's actually feels weird. You're being recognized. So.
No, that's rad. Yeah. And then, recording with your brother. So kind of getting him like, okay, from no recording knowledge to like, all right, this is the microphone.
Yeah. And he caught on quick. He has all the gear now. He's all set up, and it's going
good.
well though.
Yeah. But no, that's fun. Kind of just like with a podcast, just starting it and going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we're doing video and stuff like you are, and it's a whole learning curve with that as well, just to figure out how to.
Yeah.
Because if you take the audio that we're talking in right now and match it up to the video we have right now, it doesn't match up for both of us. It matches up for one of us, not the other one. So you got to kind of play with the audio and.
Yeah, just kind of fucking around and like, okay, see what
separate tracks,
what works or not.
Yeah.
But so I think it's been maybe I'm trying to think of like when you were on the show, probably maybe a year or so, a couple years maybe.
But, close to a year.
Yeah, you've been getting more into like home recording and shit like that. kind of working on some of your demos and stuff like that?
I record a whole bunch of riffs,
Uh-huh.
and then they sit in a folder on the computer. And then I record more riffs,
Yeah.
and then I record a bass line that's not related to any of those riffs, and I store it in a file on my computer.
You're like, that's the best way to do it. It's like,
I wrote lyrics last week for an entire song. No riffs.
put it right back on put it on the computer.
Yeah, it stays on the computer.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, songs, I don't know. At least I'm in the point right now. I'm like, they're so hard for me to write at the moment. I'm like, not just in the headspace. I know you were playing in a band, pre-COVID and stuff like that. So you're kind of writing something, I mean, it's just on your own, right? But I don't know, you feeling inspired in a different way because you're not writing with people? Or is it...
With the band I was in, we did mostly covers. We talked about doing originals, and then it just never came to fruition. So I would want to kind of figure it all out myself and just do maybe an EP of my own music.
Yeah.
And like we talked about, drums is my hurdle right now.
Yeah.
But I can even record to a click and then go from there.
Well, that's the most, I don't know. I mean, I know it's totally doable and you should be able to record to a click, but it's like, I don't know. That's to me, like, I'll get the least amount of like feeling out of it if I'm playing.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas like having a drum track or something like that, as opposed to like, pretty much Easy Drummer. I love it. It's great. I'm trying to convince you to get it.
For me right now, it's just spending money when I'm not working.
I know. It's just, yeah, dude, just fucking, I have no problem spending your money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just give me your credit.
Like Kramer. I feel like a Kramer. Like, yeah, dude,
if anyone wants to drop $200 into Brian's Patreon, you can just send me the cash.
Yeah. But it's, even with all these tools and stuff like that, I'm still not writing. I just don't feel super inspired. I'll basically, because I play in a band, just in case, and I do help kind of write songs or kind of throw in my little 2 cents and stuff like that, and songs get structured in a little different way, a little different parts. But to have a song that I write the whole thing mainly, and then, because that's kind of, Plane was like that, where it's like the songs that Kyle sang, he mainly wrote, and the songs that I sang, I mainly wrote. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, we did have, each other has like freedom or whatever to like, I don't know, play bass a certain way or add harmonies and where you want it, or, the structure can change for sure, but mainly it'd be like the whole idea. I'm like, hey, here's the whole idea, guys. Let's, jam it. And now that I'm essentially don't have my own band, not that Just in Case isn't, but a band where I'm playing guitar, I'm like, I don't know where to start. I can do songs the same exact way as I was doing before, but I'm just like, well, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I just shrugged. There's nobody around me. And there's
me and Brian there, and if you just kind of play it, then you're like, how's that sound? And everyone has their own expertise to bring to it. But yeah. I never played drums. I don't. Mm-hmm. Composing drums just doesn't come to me.
Well, because the thing is, with Easy Drummer 3, you could play a guitar part and it writes a drum part for you.
Well, yeah, I know.
But it does that now to where you can.
Yeah, that's what's appealing for me. But then, like you said before, if you don't have the drums, you don't feel as inspired to get into it. So I'm like, so do I write a basic guitar part, plug it in, get the drums, go back and play over the drums again to get more inspiration for the
It's with having
a process there.
Digital audio workstation. That stuff is. I mean, it sounds like, more steps, which it is, but it's actually easy just to be like, oh, here's your scratch track. You can get drums to it, delete that track, and then you record over a new one with a, better sounding bass, or not better sounding bass, but better sounding drum beat. It could be bass as a B-A-S-E to it. And then, I don't know, it's pretty cool, and Easy Drummer is cool. But, I mean, even like, I keep thinking of like, oh, maybe I should just get, Brian and, Johnny together, because they're both willing to be like, yeah, I'll fucking play whenever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, we should just get together and jam. But I'm like, I wonder how productive that would be, or because I'm also notoriously, I hate jamming. Yeah. Like, hey guys, let's just start. If I don't have any ideas, I'm like, not gonna be like, all right, cool, let's just start playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just get frustrated. I just get fucking pissed.
I think that was the issue in the last band I was in, where we had our catalog of covers that we did, and then we're like, we'll write some originals. And then you just start writing something, then you just break into Green Day, and then you just play it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it was hard to start off and get all these songs together that we already knew, and then to write something new, it just didn't come natural to the group. It's the same as when you're noodling in your room. You just start playing songs you already know. So,
Yeah. I feel like, when I'm noodling around on bass, it's actually a lot more fun. It's
I'm enjoying playing bass lately.
because I'm like, I'm not normally a finger bass player, but when I'm noodling, I don't play with a pick. I'm just kind of boo-doo-doo-doo, and then I'm not usually trying to go in the higher, register on a bass because I'm like, it's a fucking bass guitar, play lower. But when I'm at home and I'm just noodling, I'm like, oh yeah, I love that fucking compression.
I got the new bass there a couple months ago, and I told myself no pick, and I'm just learning on this guitar. A pick doesn't touch it until I learn finger technique, and then I can grab the pick and play it that way. But I want to kind of learn how to play with my fingers a little more than I did in the past.
You can learn
fun.
How to slap.
I know that's the next step.
I would never ever use it, and then Johnny always teased me. Buddy Johnny Ray, he's a bass player first and foremost, and he's just like, why do people slapping and popping on bass? It's you can't hear they did go to NAMM, Johnny and Kyle, and they're like, oh great, bass players just love to just pop 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 pop, and I'm like, good, I can't hear a fucking thing, and that's annoying. Yeah. We'll get into that, but they were talking about how a booth that they wanted to go to, I think it was Tsunami Cables. The guy has this bass preamp thing. It's kind of it's like a 2 preamp bass but separate thing that Kyle really wanted to try out. And we've talked to the guy from Tsunami before, and he's a cool guy. But at that booth, there was just bass players, slap bass players, that they're just pop, and it's Kyle's like, oh my god, you're not showcasing this fucking thing, and you're just being annoying essentially. It's
you're having fun, but no one else is.
You're having a laugh, aren't you? You're having a laugh. But anyway, so then they kind of do their circle. I'm like, let's go to a different one and come back. Maybe it'll be free. But then they see that same bass player who's just slapping and popping the whole time. He's just kind of to himself, just playing air bass, going making the noises. And he's like, oh my God, that's what's going on in that guy's head.
Just nonstop slapping and popping his head.
It's I'm not a real bass player because it's not just going through my head the whole time. It's that guy has to slap and pop.
We should get him for the other podcast. We can give him to do some riffs for us.
He can't. He can't not have that go through, or that's what's going through his head. It's that. You zoom into his head, it's just constant, just flea popping and slapping the whole time.
Yeah.
He's just on acid. He's like, oh. Where's the slap bass? Yeah. Anyways, what were we talking about?
Drums, I think.
Yeah. So, I can't even talk. Just the idea of having a song and kind of being almost forced to be all right, got any ideas? I'm like, oh shit. No.
Yeah.
I know.
I have no idea.
We're trying to write stuff for just in case. We got 2 songs, and a lot of them are sparked by, Adam. He's like, oh, I got this riff, I got this idea, and then we start jamming it out. But if you didn't have anything, it's you can't, sometimes we'll be there, and then Brian's like, all right, new songs. What are we doing? Brian's the drummer for my band. And then I'm like, oh shit. No, I know where he's coming from, but I'm like, I definitely don't. And then I'm kind of we both look to Adam. I'm Adam's like, it's almost now you're put on the spot. I'm like, all right, we're at practice and we're paying for the, 2 hours of practice. And I'm like, all right, let's write something. You can't really. Force is okay, time, be creative.
Yeah. It's when you're at a party and someone passes you an acoustic guitar, play us a song.
I don't think they ever do that, do they?
I've seen people do that. I'm like, I'm not going to play. Like, oh, you play guitar? I have one here. Play us a song. Like, I'm not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not going to happen.
Or
I can't even name the strings when someone puts me on the spot like that.
Yeah. It's usually, parties where people are like, oh, there's an acoustic guitar. Like, yeah, just get that far away from this guy.
Yeah.
He's going to play Wonderwall the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, I guess part of my what's new is I could have let off with it. I got COVID. So, last week didn't episode, sorry. We postponed it or just didn't do it, I guess.
Yeah.
We're gonna try and make up the Patreon, but so I got COVID. I had to cancel going to NAMM. So I had mentioned Johnny and Kyle went. So the plan was Johnny, Kyle, and I were gonna go, and RJ was gonna come with us. We were gonna be there for like 3 days and get a hotel and just be there, just like NAMM the hell out of the weekend, like we've done in the past. But I caught COVID a couple days before, and luckily I was able to cancel the hotel. And I got all my money back. So that was
Perfect.
like bueno. But and then it was kind of like, oh, I think RJ was like, oh, I have other things going on. Maybe I just kind of a sign. And then Kyle was like, Kyle flew into San Diego mainly to pack up his garage and all his shit to get it.
Finally.
Yeah, it's been about a year to get it out to Texas. So that's the thing. So he's gonna get all his guitars, all the tools, all the motorcycle parts, all the furniture, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Get that out there. Get the El Camino out there. So, but Kyle was like, "Oh, well, we'll do 3 days at NAMM for this time." I'm like, and then I'll just secondary pack up the garage and go. I'm like, I don't think that's enough time. So it kind of worked out that we're not going to go. And so for 3 days, and then Kyle, I think he's leaving today. So that's why, Andrew, thank you for recording with me, but Kyle's on the road again. So he's not really going to be able to record the podcast, but hopefully by the time this is out, he has made it to Texas with all his shit, him and the wife.
Could have phoned him into the call here.
Yeah, give him like a headset. All right, guys.
All the highway noise in the U-Haul.
Yeah, I think he's like, it's like a 26-foot truck and then the trailer to tow the El Camino. Kyle's like, this is massive.
When I moved up here, I rented the U-Haul. And I was like, what size do I want? They said, well, how many rooms you got and how many people? And they did all the math. Like, this is the truck you need. It might be too big, but you'd rather have too big than too small. I said, okay, sounds good. And then on moving day, I packed the truck to the very back. Can't fit anything else in it. And I still have about another half truck full of shit to get packed. So we went and rented another U-Haul. Actually, right then, I had like everyone I knew that had a truck came to my house and took stuff back to their house. So I had like 7 people grab my stuff and move it to their homes.
Yeah.
And then when I was moving into the new house after the weekend, I rented a second truck and loaded that up with all the other stuff. So we had 2 trucks driving down the highway together to move. And
it's a convoy.
it's not a fun process.
Yeah, I think I remember when we moved as a kid, like, because so much crap you accumulate. I'm trying to think of, like, I remember my dad got like the smallest car, the smallest truck, and we did like 8 trips. I'm like, I mean,
just get the big one
because it probably was cheapest. But when think about with gas and time and everything, and we were like kids. I remember, like, I didn't, it's something that happens as a kid. You don't think about, not that it's like traumatic or anything, but it's like, I remember it now. I'm like, of course my dad didn't get the biggest truck. He got the smallest one that he could.
Yeah.
Of course, because why not? And then that's what I remember. Is like he got the smallest one that it basically just like, it's probably like maybe 20 minutes between the houses or 30 minutes at the most. So it's like, he's like, yeah, why don't we just make multiple trips? What's the big problem?
Just get the small one. Make multiple trips. One trip is all you need. One trip.
Tap the temple. That's big time. Big brains talking. Yeah. That's how you save money.
when you're packing a house to move, it is unreal how much stuff. Like the house I lived in before, we were in that since 2012. Moved out then Yeah, 8 years we were in that house.
Yeah.
And the shit that I had in that house. We went to Value Village. I went to Value Village every day, filled the car once or twice a day, and just drop shit off at Value Village for a couple of weeks. It was just like piles of stuff. I'm like, we don't need this. Like, what do we have that for?
Like, how do you still have this stuff?
Yeah. And now we're in this house, and I'm looking around my music room. Like, there's a lot of stuff in this room already.
Like, oh, I filled it up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guitars and Star Wars stuff.
And my Modern Love EP.
There you go. Yeah. On display. So Kyle's he's doing that. But anyways, so it was like canceled, doing the 3 days at NAMM. And Kyle's like, I guess I could better spend that time packing my shit up.
Yeah.
Which is like, yeah, you gotta pack so much. There's so much crap that I'm like,
and you never accommodate for the time too. You're like, well, it should only take me a day to pack my stuff, but it should really be a couple days.
Yeah, and then you gotta load it too. I'm like, oh my god, he has a giant 6 foot wide toolbox bench and that bench, and I'm like, dude, I don't know how they got that on there without it falling over. So you could just imagine, because you've seen probably the videos or whatever on Reddit Instagram. It's like boom, the whole tool chest falls forward, everything
How did
spills
he get
out.
his safe there? Was that? Did he just buy a new safe?
He
or
bought
did
a new
take that
safe.
safe with him? He bought a new one there.
Bought a newer.
That makes the most sense. Instead of trying
a new bigger safe, because you could put more guns in there.
Yeah.
Duh.
He's in Texas.
So anyway, so I canceled. I've been pretty much in bed, and like I said, watching a lot of Seinfeld. That's a great you're in bed sick show. At least if you've seen it, I think maybe even if you haven't, because I'm like you can kind of just fall asleep to it,
Yeah.
And
the show's so good, I don't even pay attention.
No, because I honestly, I can just listen to it, and I already know, and I'm like, I'm dreaming of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
It sounds so lame, but it's true, and it's not a good, like you said, not a good praise of the show. But I'm like, yeah, it's good, fall asleep kind of show. So I've been pretty much just starting, and I'm like, oh, I've got through season 6 and already finished it. And I'm like, oh, I'll just jump back. So I'm like, yeah, we just jump through, because we're finishing season 2 on second button. I'm like, let me jump to season 3, and I'm already, I think I'm almost done with it. And I'm like, oh shit. Well, I guess I got to figure out a new show to watch, or I could just fucking watch that again. But
the Boiz.
Yeah, no,
season 3's up.
Yeah, I did crush. There was 3 episodes on Friday that came out. I'm like, I can spread no, I watched all 3 in the same day.
So no spoilers, but the first scene of episode 1 for season 3.
Let's see.
Where they're at the party, and then the first exploding person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That ruined my chances of anything happening that night. She was all like, nope.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to see one of those for a while.
That was pretty good. I was like, what the fuck is this? Yeah, The Boiz. It's a good show. But so like I had mentioned, that's kind of like a good show to I don't know, fall asleep to. Do you watch TV or listen, watch movies or listen to music or anything when you fall asleep, or you just pretty much lights out?
Yeah, no, we no TV in the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
We made that change years ago, and it's good.
Mm-hmm.
I find I sleep better. Yeah, no, we watch movies or we watch them on Twitch and hang out on the couch downstairs, and then when it's time for bed, we just go to bed. And I'm usually ready just to pass out at that point. So.
Yeah, when the lights out. Yeah. No, I've definitely gotten to be. I don't really watch a lot of TV, but like I said, I'm just watching it on my phone.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've been into just listening to podcasts to fall asleep. Like I don't think I can just silent and just and fall asleep. It's always just listening.
One of my daughters like that. They needed the radio on, or they needed something on just to have noise while they fell asleep.
Mm-hmm.
But when they were younger, they always had TV on. They'd fall asleep watching TV. And that's when I realized maybe we shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. I
try to transition that out, but they need music or something to fall asleep.
Something on. I think get some friends who are like, yeah, I always just put on a movie I've seen before or whatever. and just have something on. So to have complete silence, I'm like, I don't think I can do it. So when I'm like, to say that I've been watching Seinfeld, I've been just pretty much like napping to Seinfeld.
Yeah. I've been off. For anyone that doesn't know me, I also have COVID. But
yeah, we're the COVID boys.
I started my symptoms March. St. Patrick's Day is my first symptom, and I'm still not back to 100%. I'm not back to 50%. So my regular job, I do
long COVID.
Long COVID. Yep. So I usually work 2 nights a week, 2 days, 2 nights a week, and I slept in my own bed for the last 3 months, every night, and it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I got a regular schedule. My body's like, what's going on? You're supposed to not sleep normal, right?
Yeah. You're like, all right. Well, what a way to get, to sleep in my own bed, but fuck it.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. So, I did have a haircut scheduled because I was finally like long ass hair. I was like, oh, I have a job where I got to look a little bit more presentable. So I was gonna get a haircut, but it just the timing and days off that I did it, and I'm finally like, oh, okay, cool. I took a long weekend that I was gonna go to NAMM, and I was like the day before we go, I was like, I'll get my haircut, get it all straightened out and looking good, and then got COVID, so I had to cancel that. So like, and because I was like hot, it was like kind of fever, and I was like the first like couple days I was like, holy shit, and I was just like felt like Napoleon Dynamite, and I'm like, oh, I'm hot, so I gotta cut my hair. So I cut my own hair. I think it looks all right.
Shows your jorts.
Yeah. I'm like,
more, I gotta cut the legs off my pants now.
Yeah. And cut the sleeves off. And I'm like, oh man. So that's kind of also a what's new. And I'm like, all right, I think I'm doing all right. I'm getting next month I'll get a legit haircut. But I was just like,
it looks good,
hot as fuck. I was like, fuck, and I just took like just shears to it. And I'm like, man, get this fucking hair off me. So I was like, always thinking, I'm like, oh man, it'd be kind of cool if I like grew my hair out. How long would that be? It's always like the first day that it's hot, and I'm like, yeah, fuck it, no, we're chopping this all off.
When everything will grow, I had about 3 months. I'm like, oh. It's starting to grow over my ears. I got to get a cut now.
Yeah, it's like, how do people have long hair? It's like
you got to get through that first year. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, it's like I think I run hot.
Yeah.
But this was pre-COVID. Had a gig, which may have been the one that I caught COVID at.
It's likely where you got it.
Probably. I played a gig with that just in case. Last one for a while because Brian, our drummer's having a second kid, so we're kind of like, okay, let's take probably the summer off is probably what we're guessing, and he's kind of like, oh yeah, I can just take like a month off and then we can get back to playing. I'm like, no, not when you
first
have
kid, right?
No,
first
second kid.
Oh, second.
Not only is there one, new and a newborn, but there's still the other one that's going around. Like, no, there's 2 of them now. I think probably we're gonna get back to it probably in fall, maybe. Yeah. So, but anyways, so that's cool. So congrats, Brian. But yeah, the show was cool. Like, it played at Ken Club, a venue here in San Diego. There was a good amount of people there, but man, the lineup was great, but the sound guy just sucked ass.
Oh no.
He's like the idea of like doing a sound check before the show starts or the doors open. He was like, it blew his mind. Like, oh, yeah, no, I guess we could do that. I'm like, what the fuck are you? Like, he's sitting there drinking whiskey, and I'm like, what? A cool guy, cool, yeah, definitely. I'm like, but like, let's, we're here. So okay, we wanted to do like sound check. We were the first band of the night, but there was an acoustic solo artist before us. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we had the drums set up, the guitar, bass, and everything kind of on stage, kind of like, okay, mic it. And so he was like, okay, cool, I'll mic it. And then okay, we can do a sound check because there's still like at least half an hour before music starts. I'm like, and the guy's like, yeah, I mean, you sure you want to do that? Like, I'm like, yes. And Brian had in-ears and everything. It's like, okay, I know this is gonna be a little bit more, into it than just, we're miking drums and we're doing, in ears. I'm like, okay, a little bit more to do than just like, fuck it, here's just 2 vocal mics and figure it out.
Yeah.
Anyways, so he got the drums and then, got it through, piping through Brian's in ears and everything. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And then he was like, oh, we got no more time to do the bass and guitar. That should be pretty quick. I'm like, yeah, and he's right. It should be really quick, right?
You're right. It should be.
DI bass through my my dark glass. So I'm like, you just put that through the board. It's fucking already ready to go. And then guitar, just a mic on the combo.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had, 3 mics. So 1 for Brian on drums, Adam guitar, and me bass. I'm like, but it should be good because Brian didn't have to have like a drum wedge to, that the mic could feed back on, because it was drum wedge, cut that out. It's going through in-ears only. Whatever. You can already see it's going to be shitty. But anyways, so the opening solo.
So it went well.
Opening solo guy, right? He sound checked him and he was fine during sound check. And I don't know if he just like got rid of the levels or whatever he did, because he's like, it's like now he's like, the song started and people are coming in and then he's like mixing. It's 2 fucking things, a vocal and a guitar, but he's trying to mix them as he's going. I'm like, you already got the levels. You already did this. And now he's doing it during the first song, and then he got it to where it's like, it's the acoustic guitar is like clipping and shit. And I'm like, it sounds like it's farting. I'm like, dude. And it's like, and it was supposed to be quick because it's like, like I said, the drums are set up behind the guy, and so are the amps. So it's like, okay, it should be like 10-minute at most.
Yeah.
But anyways, so he kind of, he was like, oh, I couldn't get the DI to work. I'm like, well, you had it working during fucking sound check. And then so he ended up miking the acoustic, which, okay. And it was fine. Still sounded better than the farty, farty guitar. So anyway, and buddy Drew Smith, he was the opening guy. He's a great musician. He's a really great, vocalist and everything. It just kind of sucks when a bad sound guy makes it sound shitty.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn it, dude. And he's killer like vocals, and he his vocals sounded great, but acoustic, you couldn't hear a damn thing.
That sucks.
Did you go get some water or something?
I got some.
Okay, yeah.
Really,
I hear you.
If anyone's watching the video, you can see me muting the cough every 5 minutes.
Yeah, just like, this is sick hit cast, dude.
We're sick.
It's fucking sick, dude. But anyways, so he's done with his set, and then we're like, okay, cool. And we're all like, okay, let's make this snappy so that we can get the show, like, still keep life in the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, it's already hooked up for the DI to be mic'd, and the guitar cab's already mic'd. I'm like, where? And then so he kind of does like putts around and shit like that. And I'm like, okay, like, are we gonna do the DI bass? Are we gonna do bass? Hello. And then he's like kind of taking forever. I'm like, we're ready. And then he's just like, oh, okay, all right, let's do. And he kind of finally does like sound check for all the instruments, and then he kind of goes, all right, let's do sound check for the drums again. And I'm like, no, we already did it. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. And then he kind of does like vocals, and it just feedbacks like crazy city. I'm like, through the vocal wedges. And I'm like, okay, got to a point where I'm like, he's trying to fuck with them. He's getting up and going into a different board. I'm like, I don't think he knows what he's doing.
He doesn't know what board the vocals are on.
Yeah, or it's like the monitor. I'm like, and I kept saying, cut the vocals. Just cut the vocals from the monitor. Cut the vocals from the monitor. I have I have earbuds in, not earbuds, but earplugs. I'm like, I can sing. I can sing without hearing myself. It's better if I do, but I'm fine without it.
Yeah.
And then I'm kind of like to Adam too. I'm like, cut his too, because his are feedback. It's like, and he didn't listen to a damn thing that we said. And then it got to a point where Adam, he's like, oh, I need more, Brian, Rash vocals in my, monitor. I need some bass. And he's like, all right. And the guy just flicks a switch and it's all electric guitar. He's like, I got nothing else but electric guitar in my fucking monitor. He's like, nothing. It sounded like a goddamn shit.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious.
That happened once, and
yeah.
all I heard in the monitor was drums. I was like, I can hear the drums. I'm standing beside them.
Like,
that's all I hate. That's all they're feeding me was the drums.
Yeah, it's like this guy. He's like, and then like, and it kept feeding back during the set. And then the first song that we played, the house music was still on. He forgot to turn it off. And I'm like, God, this guy took fucking forever too. It was like so long. And I know it sounds like, oh, you're being a prima donna, but I'm like, no, you sucked this. Put our best foot forward to try and make this a fast. Because I know going to a local show, sometimes it's like, it took 30 minutes we were already on stage with our stuff. Everything was already mic'd, and it still took 30 minutes. I'm like, holy fucking shit.
That's how you keep a party going.
just a big turd in the punch bowl. I'm like, God damn it. And then afterwards,
party, you can make the deviled eggs when you get here.
Yeah. Just start cooking when everybody gets there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we're going to make the lemonade. We're going to start squeezing. We're actually going to grow the tree first. And then
we're going to grow the tree. And then
yeah. And I'm like, God damn it. So I'm like trying not to be like, whatever. But I'm like, we're like, go. Come on. Can we go? Can we fucking go? And then like, as soon as we got like the go ahead to just start. And then, we're going through the first song or two. And I'm like, ah, shit. I'm like trying to like, and like I'm trying to just like get situated. I'm like, oh fuck, my glasses are like doing this. I don't normally play with my glasses on, and I'm trying to play, and I'm trying to set them down, and then the next song starts already. I'm like, guys, give me a second, fuck. And it was okay. I think we played well enough. I did. It was frustrating. I did get some compliments on my Berto bass. It was the first show that I played with the yellow Berto bass.
Yeah,
new bass, and I got a lot of what is that? That's cool. Like, I've never seen that before. A lot of people, and I say a lot. I like 5 people, which is that. That's a lot, right? At a show.
Yeah.
So I got some compliments on that, and then I just think, you can play the same venue and just with different like, sound engineers, and they can just suck it up.
Yeah.
And it's funny because at the afterwards, the band who played after us, the venue had those 609 Sennheiser mics, like the flat ones. They're like, you just lay them in front of the fucking speaker grill, that kind of thing, And then I'm like, so a lot of like engineers do that where they tie the XLR cord handle, yep, and it just droops right in front. But he had that, and the part where the microphone, picks up the stuff was to the back of the amp. It was to the back of the amp. So like, not to the back of the amp, but it was towards the back. The back of it was opposite towards the crowd. So it wasn't picking up any of this, the speaker. It was just picking up the crowd. He kept on cranking it, not wondering why. And I'm in the crowd. And I'm like, this is his. I mean, he's getting paid to do this. Not to be like a dickhead.
Why does it sound like a Kiss Alive album?
Yeah.
I can hear the audience screaming.
All you hear is just audience, and I'm like, oh, I can see him kind of go, and I'm like, hopefully he turned the gain down because he's now gonna flip these mics to where they're supposed to be in the middle of the performance. Hopefully it's not like he has them all the way gained up. He's like, I'm not getting any sound out of the guitar, and then just what? But it's just like all these fuck ups and stuff like that. And then I did notice that for the third band, because we were second or whatever, the band after us, that there was the microphone that he used to mic the acoustic guitar for the first act was on the ground in front of the PA speaker, pointed at the PA speaker. So I'm wondering if that was the mic that was causing feedback.
The feedback.
Still had the cable plugged in. Still plugged in to the strip. And I'm like, yep. I said to Adam, I'm like, how much do you want to bet that thing was live during the show and probably causing the feedback? He's like, just like, fuck. He's like, I can only put up with this shit. Like, so he's like, I can only like. It's not like we're like divas or anything, but it's just like afterwards, it's like you can only make up excuses so much because the guy was just like, I don't know whether to scratch his watch or whine his ass.
Where do they find the people that sometimes? Where do they find the guy?
Yeah,
we did a show here and we walked in. We're getting set up. I said, "Do you want to check our levels there? Check your what?" I said, "Do you want to do a sound check?" And he goes, "What for?" I'm like, "Oh fuck, here we go."
Yeah, it's pretty good. So that was my my last show, or our last show for a while, probably until after summer. But I thought that was unless something, really good comes up. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're just gonna take a bit of a break, and I just thought that was funny. It's like all our best intent, and then we did because we knew the band after us was Omega 3. Let's see, we knew them, so we were cool with or Brian was letting them use his drum set. So just bring your cymbals and a snare.
Yeah.
And again, that makes it for quicker set change time, right?
It should.
And then it didn't help. All these things that we put ahead of it to be like, oh yeah, no, this will make the set go faster. It'll be better. Wrong. Sorry, wrong. So, anyways, that's kind of a what's new, kind of just catching, ranting, a little bit of riffage in there. So I did have like a kind of a quick topic.
I'm just wondering before we move on.
Oh yeah.
Is there a podcast where it's just a couple of sound engineers and they just sit there and bitch about bands all the time? I want to find it.
There's gotta be. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Cut out my. I should just leave my, throat clearing. Oh.
Yeah, we'll edit this out. There we go.
I should just leave that. We just leave that in.
Do that for a promo.
Yeah.
just take that little piece and clip it and put it out on Instagram or something.
This episode is sick.
Yeah.
Use that same joke a million times. Okay. So, I did see this. I think it was either maybe Pedal Boards of Doom or maybe 60 Cycle. It was one of the bigger guitar groups. Somebody posted they had a delivery of a pedal from Reverb. So it was like just I think EHX pedal or whatever, and it was delivered in the pedal box, but only the pedal box. And it was taped and had like a FedEx UPS label on it, and then shipped to the customer, and he got it.
Couldn't even wrap it in paper.
They probably had paper or something inside it, Yeah. And the thing is, and people are like, making the guy is like, okay, what do I give this guy? Kind of thing. Yeah. And I'm like, well, probably still 5 stars, right? So that made me think, I'm like, okay, what?
Unless you're Josh Scott, you'd be pissed because the box got tape on it.
Yeah, isn't he like got the box guy or something?
Yeah.
Wasn't that one of his catchphrases? It kind of made me think, I'm like, what would cause you to give less than 5 stars on Reverb or eBay or something like that? So it could be pedals and guitars and shit like that, but also I don't know if you buy figures or other things like that, collectibles and shit like that off eBay, stuff like that. People sell them. Those people ship things in a weird way too.
Yeah, true. So if a pedal came and the pedal didn't work, I other than that, if the pedal came in good condition, I got what I paid for. I don't see why you would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And for that specific example of the guy who got the pedal in the box, it was just like clear taped.
Yeah.
I mean, that sucks, but I'm also like thinking pedals are, they're meant to be stomped on, right? So
I know.
I'm like, they could take a beating, you would assume. It's not just like, oh, this thing's made out of fucking chocolate, it's gonna hollow chocolate or something like that.
I did a trade.
Mm-hmm.
My MXR Distortion Plus. I never used it. I didn't really vibe with it. I got other pedals, so I was doing a trade when I bought my new bass. So I took that in the store. I'm like, what would you give me for this? And they gave me a price. And I said, if it didn't have the box, would that change anything? They're like, no. I'm like, okay. But the little rubber knobs that MXR pedals come with?
Yeah.
I had those still. I had that in the box. And then I realized it didn't make a difference in the price. So I kept the box for 4 years. Kept these little knobs. And I was like, why didn't I just keep the knob things and I could use them on another pedal? Because I like the little rubber knobs. You can kind of turn it with your foot or whatever. And maybe no more money. So what are we saving the boxes for? It's not like someone's collecting, I guess. But yeah, if someone put tape on a box, it's the box.
Yeah, it's not. I guess that is the collectible kind of aspect of it. If you're trying to think of like, I don't know, like figures or whatever. I remember like you're just down like a Google hole or whatever. I'm just like, hey, remember those old like Star Wars figures that I used to have? I wonder if those are like kind of worth. They're not really.
No.
The Star Wars figures from back in the 90s and stuff like that. Like I don't remember if it was Hasbro or whoever, whatever. Even like ones in like packaging, they're not worth anything. I think it's like, I don't even know if it's like the older ones, like from the 80s. If those are maybe worth something.
Yeah, like early 80s or some that are worth stuff, but still even. At the end of the day, whenever you ever pay for shipping and everything, it's not really worth a whole lot.
Yeah, with like a lot of like, I always just think of like collectibles and people like definitely have the idea of like, oh, this will be worth something someday. And I don't think like idea of buying something, I don't think you can really ever like gauge the market of what's going to be, a hit.
Even like Funko Pops, we got a bunch of Funko Pops. And someone saw I had them out of the box. You took them out of the box? I'm like, I didn't buy them to sell them. I bought them because I thought, that's cool.
I like them.
And I want to keep it.
Yeah.
Except for my Prince one. I have that in a display case with lights on it. That's Prince though.
I do like, I do have some of the anime figures and stuff like that. And they're like the little Nendoroid they're similar to Funko Pops, but for anime characters, I do have a friend online who he's very into collecting anime figures and all that shit. And he collects all the boxes, but he displays them outside the boxes, but he has a whole closet full of just boxes.
Oh, really?
I mean, in case he sells them or whatever. And I'm like, wow, what
I think
a waste of fucking space.
If you're buying like a collectible, you're like, oh, look, that's Luke Skywalker from 1977.
Yeah.
And you bought that and someone just duct taped the address on the back of the box. They might get a low rating for a collectible like that.
Yeah, collectible kind of thing. But for a pedal that's going to be used, and it's, if it's just like, not that, anything wrong with like an MXR, EHX or whatever, but if it's like one of those as opposed to like, I don't know, maybe a limited edition walrus design or something like that. And even that really, who cares? Because they're usually in just like standard boxes.
Yeah.
So I have my limited edition Julia, but it still has like the regular Julia box. So
that's nothing special.
No, the box isn't anything special. But I was trying to think of like, I guess if it just doesn't work or if it's in different condition than when you got it, you know, like usually if they ship it shitty,
if it breaks in shipping, you can't even blame the seller because it broke in shipping. But
unless they just shipped it in like a fucking hefty bag and then just like, all right, good luck. An amp, or they ship like an acoustic guitar in like a trash bag and like, all right, here you go. Put it on FedEx. Good luck, everybody else.
Put it on the United flight.
Yeah. I did actually get my Terra bass combo, my orange. I got that from Guitar Center and used. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I mean, they used to have some really good stuff there, but I think people, I don't know, the used market, I don't know, I mean, whatever. Supply chains.
I found the used market lately hasn't been nearly
anything. Year or two ago, you can find some pretty cool stuff on there. Anyway, so that was where I got the combo there, and I got it for a good deal. But they shipped it with the speak on. Probably mentioned it on the show. It's like a speak on cable, that goes into like the little cab part of the combo from the head part of it, and it's detachable. It's a speak-on cable. You just unhook it. Whoever shipped it probably didn't notice that you could take it apart, and just left the speak-on cable attached to the cab and attached to the head part of it, and put it in a box, and very little packaging, like you couldn't move it. And when it arrived to my house, it was the back plate was like where the speaker cable hooks in. It was all dented in. It was like like dented. I'm like, oh fuck. I was like so pissed because I'm like, I still want the fucking thing. It still works, but I'm like, that doesn't look good, and I don't feel super confident always plugging something into that and in and out of that. It's probably gonna wear whatever. And I'm like,
yeah, it's not gonna last.
And I was just pissed. And I ended up taking it to a local amp repair shop, and I don't know if they just had a spare part or if they fixed it, but it looks brand new. So they fixed it for me. But if I could
plunger on it a couple times,
yeah, just start jumping up and down on it. But they fixed that speaker, connection plate. I'm like, looks fucking brand new. But I'm like, that would be one if I could have given Guitar Center 3 stars, I would have.
Yeah. And I'll be more likely to give Guitar Center 3 stars than
a seller
Joe Blow on Reverb.
Well,
right?
no, but if it was somebody on Reverb, I would have given them
something like that. Yeah.
If that was a seller on Reverb, I would have given them the 3 stars, 2 stars, whatever. Put a picture and then explain them like, look here, dumbass. Take the fucking speaker cable off. I'm like, you can keep the speaker cable. I don't care. But yeah. It ended up being okay, but I'm trying to think of like any other ones that I've received damaged. No, but I mean, I do get things that are like, when I got my Matrix power speaker, the 1x12 FR cab, I got that, and I should have given him like less stars because it was filled to the brim with packing peanuts.
Oh, inside the speaker?
No,
like inside the cabinet?
Inside the box. So
okay.
They were nice enough to saran wrap it, for freshness. The speaker, so none of the peanuts got in there, but the Peanuts gang. So he wrapped the whole thing, so it was like fresh, like nice like sandwich in there for your lunch. So okay, that's nice. And then put it in a giant box filled like so many fucking packing peanuts. I'm like, oh my god, funny. To get rid of those things.
Yeah, I had a small box shop. I actually ordered like 6 things of nail polish, and they took them in sets of 2, flip one over the other, so they kind of fit, make kind of a rectangle, and they saran wrap those together, and then put them in this huge box with the same thing, packing peanuts. Like, what am I gonna do with these fucking packing peanuts?
Yeah. It's like the worst thing to pack your whatever you're shipping. Bubble wrap is probably one of the best.
Yeah, they're annoying and they're bad for the environment.
Yeah, styrofoam packing peanuts. I'm like, oh, I still gave them 5 stars. I'm trying to think of any other times. I'm like, it's really if it just doesn't work or if it's like a shitty or like damaged. And even then, I'm like, would I even notice? I guess I don't think I've bought guitars off of eBay or whatever.
If they sent me a Squire instead of a Fender, or
yeah.
like totally ripped you off or something.
Mm-hmm. I know. I've bought like. Even just how they ship it, if it arrives safe, I'm like, I don't care. Like I bought some, like again, with it's either I buy pedals or anime figures. They bought an anime figure, and they just wrapped it like it was filled with just like Vaughn's or like shopping center bags, like no other like newspaper. Like I think it was just bags, and I'm like, it arrived safe, I guess, wrapped in trash bags. You want dog shit bags, I guess. But it arrives
as long as it's not broken.
Exactly. It arrived safe in the box, unopened. All right, cool. And then of course you open the box and throw the fucking shit thing away. But yeah, I thought that was like, okay. I mean, you wrapped it with garbage, but it arrived. Essentially, it's like what's the presentation that you're trying to,
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like you're Sweetwater putting fucking candy in there. I'm like, oh, well, really nice guys here.
Now, what would you do if you got something from someone Reverb and they gave you candy? Would you eat it?
No, I never eat the Sweetwater. Yeah. I mean, no, I'm not really I don't really like that kind of candy that they give you. If they gave you fucking maybe some Butterfingers, maybe you'd be talking to different, or Reese's Fast Break.
If you're listening, Sweetwater.
Yeah. You could put, I don't know, maybe a couple White Claws in there.
Yeah.
This is not even close to the same thing. Yeah.
Natty Light.
Just a couple Natty Lights in there. And then now we're talking. It's a little different. But come on. Expand your business. If you want to be like good customer service, provide it. Would you?
Yeah. They're never going to last.
Yeah, you're never gonna last in this town.
No.
Mom and Pop weren't even a mom and pop. I just watched that Seinfeld episode the other day. Where it's like Mom and Pop, the shoe cleaning, cobbling. So, do you have any shoes that need a good cobbling? I'm like, no. So they established trust for 53 years. Anyways, I think let's get on out of here. What do you say?
Sounds good.
All right, as I'm sucking snot in. So, Andrew, thank you so much for, helping me out on this episode. Thanks for, getting sick with me.
We're going horking together on the mic.
Sick and fucking twisted. What are some of your other podcasts? Where can people check you out?
Yeah, so we got the Second Button podcast with Brian and East Coast DNA podcast. We have a link tree, so linktr.ee/East Coast DNA, and that'll bring you to our Instagram, our everything.
I'll link it in the description of the podcast.
Yeah, we'll link that. And Andrew's Alcove on YouTube and Instagram. And that's just Andrew's Alcove. You'll find that as well. We'll link that too.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do a link tree for Andrew's Alcove.
there you go. There you go. All right. I just want to say thank you for tuning into the Tone Jerks podcast. If you like what you hear, you can follow along on social media. We have a Facebook group. I'll link it in the description, but you can also search the Tone Jerks. We got a page. You can like that if you want. Nothing goes on over there. And then we have an Instagram at the Tone Jerks, posting cool shit on the reg over there. We have a YouTube channel doing clips of the show over there. We're doing eventually when I'm well again, I'll start doing videos again. Did have some studio tours planned, but those will be down the line. So check out the YouTube, and if you like what you hear, you can help support the show on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. But if you double down for $2 a month, you get an extra episode every week, and then you get the whole back catalog. You get an RSS feed, put it into your favorite podcatcher, and then you get to listen to all the new episodes, all the old episodes. There's over 220, 230. There's a shit ton of bonus content.
There's a lot.
There's a grip. And then
and if you want, you can donate $2, download all those episodes, and then unsubscribe.
Exactly. That's a good way to gauge the system there. $2, and then you get download all of them, put them on a hard drive or whatever, and just once a week you can go through, or you can just marathon through, and then come back and join. Kyle hates that. He's like, stop telling him that.
Keep your money in your pocket.
But just for a thank you, we wanted to give you all a huge shout out, a sizable acknowledgement. I'm going to read them this week, and I'm going to read them just in the order on Patreon here. So I want to say thank you to Tony DeGraw from Texas Boggle State Champs. It's a King of the Hill watch along podcast. It's a good one. Mondays, that's my go-to listen. We got Matthew Davis. We got Michael McAvey. We got Matthew Fenslaw. Tyler Rhines from Tyler Casey Riffs. We got Tim Nowick from Bardic Audio Devices.
Where's Matthew Fenslaw from?
He's from your mom's house. Not the podcast. It's from all your collective your moms.
Everybody's moms.
He's a busy guy. He's got Scott Hamilton from the Effects Loop podcast. We got Eric Mero from YouTube Star. We got Zach Gale. We got Mike Oxbig. And Huge Erection. Those boys coming in like Hulk Hogan.
I just got a notification. We got a new one here. It's a Alpha Kenny Buddy. Alpha Kenny Buddy.
We got Juan Ortiz from Tone Hungry Effects. We got Steve Rao from 60 Cycle Hum. We got Mel
They
Chipson.
have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube now.
Yeah, they're big time, big boys.
Yeah.
Almost as big as Huge Erection and Mike Oxbeck.
I saw Ryan saying the other day, Premier Guitar, he saw them at NAMM, and they said they watch his YouTube.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah. Bummed I couldn't go to NAMM. I saw, a lot of friends over there. But did see a lot of people are, back at home, and they're like, oh, I'm COVID positive. So I think that was definitely, I was either going to get it before or after. So
yeah, you're going to come home with it if you didn't go with it.
Yeah. So let's see. We got Nicholas Ogburn. We got Brian Nutter from Nutter Guitars. We have Alvaro Viramontes. We have Yusuf fucking Cock. We got Sean Fahey. We got
Yusa there. I think Yusa told me about that coming up.
yeah. We got Sean Fahey. We got Kevin Equits Guitars. Sean Arbo
what's he making now?
He finished.
Kevin. You said he quits guitars. So what's he gonna do now?
He quits. I think that was a Gearslum bit where it's like he quits from. That's how you quit your job online. You can just quit them. Well, anyways, that was
quit them.
Yeah. That was a shitty joke. It wasn't mine. Blame Gearslum. Let's see, Sean Arbo from Gun Street Wiring Shop. But Kevin did finish Scott Hamilton's guitar. It looks fucking rad as shit. So hopefully they'll be talking about it on the FX Loop podcast when he gets that in his hands. Let's see, we got the young king, Doug King. We got Doug Christ from 37 Effects and Masters of the Cinematic Universe. He's also Just Surprise Me. He's one of your co-hosts when you feel like it.
when I'm in the mood.
Yeah, I'm just not in the mood right now.
They start recording at 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, I'm usually up till midnight, but
boys. Yeah,
my brain. The long COVID definitely affects your mental capacity to finish a day.
Yeah, so. I'm definitely average or below average COVID here.
Yeah,
but it's just right. Okay,
it's about 6.5 inches of COVID.
Yeah. Let's see. Got Jason Fuzzmonger, Jamie Davis, Abe Newman. We got Joe from Just Surprise Me, and Masters of the Cinematic Universe, and Texas Boggle State Champions. He's also a podcast guy. He's you guys are neck and neck for the podcast.
I might start one with Joe too. Will.
Yeah.
See what we can do.
Got old Johnny Ray. We got RJ from Telly Talks, and then we have Co Schneider from the band Night Tides, and that rounds it up. All right. Sorry about the different order here. I don't have Kyle's list, the master list.
I usually go first, but I didn't go first today.
Yeah. All right.
Put Tony there instead.
Yeah, Tony's number one. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us. It's a Merv Griffin show. I need to have the Merv Griffin set from Seinfeld. Andrew, thanks so much. We will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.